welcome back. Time for more Heart of. I'm actually kind of glad I was in the middle of streaming when my voice disappeared because it's not as much of a strain when the something like Gilded Shadows with no voiceover at all. Then I'd be in trouble. I would probably have switched to this. So we're in some unnamed country in Europe, investigating paranormal situations, and things are looking bad for Maddie. Heavy snow batters us while we walk, so of course as chill doesn't reach us, our visibility is effectively zero. Oh, that's right. Fuck. I think this is Madison. Madison and Abigail are stuck in a storm. Too weak to even alter the path of the forest, Abigail clings to my side, trusting me to lead us back to the church. Although I maintain a brave face, I'm not fully confident in my ability to get us there. The blizzard calls to mind memories of the day I died, although I don't let myself dwell on them. I'm not alone this time, and I have someone more to live for. Yeah, that's how Madison died. She was caught in a blizzard, lured out there by the baddie, and Abigail managed to keep her soul from moving on, but not before her body was destroyed. Our journey is strenuous. We move at a glacial pace, but it's the fastest that Abigail can manage. Her steps are heavy and slow, and as much as I want to urge her along, I know that I can't. I'm glad that she's watching the ground on her feet rather than me, so that she doesn't have to see the worry on my face. Every time I start to think I've got this whole ghost thing figured out, something new arises to complicate it all over again. And this time I don't even have Abigail's experience to guide me. Yeah, Maddie's been going intangible to the point that she can't hold Abigail, take her hand or anything like that, or kiss her. They finally smooched and now she can't. Maybe. What happens if she loses the ability to walk altogether, or to speak? What happens if the magic that keeps me here runs out? The occasional flickering of my body makes that a very real concern right now. I hold tightly to her hand, the only anchor of comfort and security right now, but even that has grown clammy and cold. Swallowing a lump in my throat, we march on. Trees bow in the wind, trying to turn their backs against it. For the first time that I can remember, there aren't any woodland creatures out and about. No mice or rabbits or chirping birds, not even a panicked deer phasing in and out of existence like me. May as well just be me and her and no one else in the universe.
Come on, I'm sure we're almost there. It can't be much further.
I say the words for my own sake as much as for hers, so in truth I have no idea if I'm right or not. For all I know, we could be heading in the totally opposite direction of the church. Even then, once we arrive at the church, I'm not sure what to do. Will she get better with time to rest? Will I? Right now the church is just a goal. It gives us something tangible to work towards. Something to keep our I got the F and the M switched. Feet moving. There we go. Slowly or not.
I'm sure you're right.
Her voice is barely a murmur. I can only hope that she's saving her energy on purpose. I'm afraid to ask. I wonder how much of what's happening is by the mayor's design. Well, everything stems from her. It's impossible to know how much was deliberate and how much was simply a ripple effect from what she's done. The mayor in question turns out to be possessed by an evil entity who has been possessing bodies over and over again through the years. And Abigail was one of her victims. I don't think she actually possessed Abigail's body, but because Abigail volunteered to be sacrificed, and because she volunteered, her soul still lingers in this forest for 200 years. And the next potential victim is the mayor's daughter, Morgan, who is aware that the mayor is not her biological mother, that the creature inhabiting the mayor's body is someone else entirely, and that it happened when she was still young. And Maddie's best friend, Tara, is the reason they're here in the first place. Morgan basically invited them here to investigate the paranormal situation. And so yeah, it's a mess. I wonder if she even considers us a threat or gives us any thought at all. If she doesn't, then maybe we can use that against her. Of course, first we have to reach a point where we can do that. During a momentary lapse in the blizzard, I'm able to make out a welcome sight in the haze. A warped and curled tree that I distinctly remember from an earlier trip.
Look, you recognize that tree too, right? I'm pretty sure you were the one who showed it to me the first time. We're almost home.
Abigail nods weakly, though she doesn't say anything. Squeeze her hand, trying to impart some strength into her. It kills me to see her like this, and I'd give anything to be able to help her.
Almost there, you've got this.
She nods again, and unable to do or say more. Except she doesn't stop nodding, like a bobblehead. I touch her along, trying to lead her the rest of the short way, but she's rooted to the spot.
Listen.
And then she collapses. Dun dun dun! I jolt and choke on nothing as I gasp for a breath that I don't actually need. Abigail has fallen to her knees. I didn't even feel her hand slip out of mine. I try to take the half step across the few centimeters that separate us. It takes me a moment to understand, and I immediately wish that I hadn't. Oh my god, I just stopped existing for a second. Profound dread grips my heart. Looking down at myself once again, I can see right through my hand and arms and the snow accumulating beneath us. Not good. This is extremely not good. I collapse to the ground beside Abigail, but at least of my own accord. I try to shake her by the shoulder, but it takes several tries before I can maintain a form long enough to even touch her.
I'm sorry, Medicine. I just need a little break.
With visible effort, she turns to look at me. I don't even think she even realizes what's happening. But then it fades into non-existence for another moment, and when I come back, horror is clearly etched onto her face. So it's not just Madison's body going intangible, it's Madison phasing out entirely. And something I think is going to come up shortly is that the fairies that live in the forest have basically offered to make Madison their new queen. They've been without a queen for a long time. They can't say for how long, but I'm thinking pretty long. And I feel like Madison is going to accept the offer, if only so she could stay with Abigail. Finding some hidden reserve of strength, she lunges towards me and grabs my hand. Immediately, everything goes back to normal.
Madison, are you okay? Can you hear me?
I'm fine now.
I hold her hands a bit tighter to reaffirm it.
Are you okay, though?
I'm just a little tired, is all.
She forces herself up again, looking more than a little tired. Immediately, she sways and nearly falls, but I catch and steady her. She leans into me and I pull her into a hug.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Gently, I stroke her hair. In truth, I'm terrified, but I don't want her to see that. It only makes things worse. I guide Abigail over to a fallen tree where we can sit down, indifferent to the blizzard. Even though the church isn't much farther, I don't want to push her too much right now. I wrap one arm around her as we sit, and I hold her close. Aww.
Where can we go for help? Maybe if the forest spirit sees how rough it is for us.
But she shakes her head.
Believe me, it would if it could. But I fear that it's even weaker than I am right now. It's much more in tune with the forest than me, so it's suffering the effects even more strongly.
Yeah, the mayor, Evelyn in this case, has been taking steps to weaken the forest.
All of this because Evelyn killed one tree?
It wasn't just any tree. It was one of the ancestral trees. The oldest one. They're the heart of the forest. All of its strength comes from them.
Yes, we saw that happen. She used Morgan to do it. And, yeah, Morgan was very upset. I can't pretend to understand their importance, but I know that Abigail isn't exaggerating, not at a time like this.
So what do we do? There has to be some sort of solution, right? Can we plant another tree or something?
Even as I say it, I know the idea is ridiculous. We don't exactly have the centuries it would take for a new tree to grow up as big and strong as the one that was killed.
The forest spirit is supposed to become the next one. All of the ancestral trees were once spirits like the one you've met.
What's stopping it? The mayor?
Her hand clenches around my shoulder where she was holding on tightly.
That's right. I hadn't even realized.
Realized what?
Groaning, Abigail sits up straight. As long as we're close like this, it seems like I'm able to maintain my physical form.
This spirit can't pass on its own. It needs the help of the Fairy Queen. That's one of her duties to the forest.
But there's no fairy queen right now.
Also, speaking of the Fairy Queen, I just remembered this. There's a fairy in cat form. Well, I wouldn't say... We don't know that it's a fairy. We just know that it's an ancient magical creature in cat form that has been helping Morgan. And I'm pretty sure that it's the Fairy Queen that went missing.
Yes, which means that there's no one to complete the ritual.
The rest goes unspoken as we both come to the same realization. An awful one.
Madison.
I know. There aren't any other options, are there?
None that I know of.
I close my eyes and take a deep breath, heading off the wave of fear that I know is coming.
I'm sorry, again.
It's okay. You don't need to apologize. Really.
But...
Taking both her hands in my own, I turn to face her, understanding her eyes close halfway as her lips part to meet mine. Part of me wishes I could spend an eternity like this, together, warm with the woman I love. But even that isn't an option anymore. Our kiss ends far too quickly, although I'm not sure it could ever have been enough. When we part, there are tears on Abigail's face. I'm not sure if they're mine or hers.
It'll be okay somehow. I know it.
I'll be with you, no matter what.
I know. Thank you. Seriously. I couldn't do this without you.
And the thing about the cat creature, Morgan says that Morgan thinks that she's forgetting what she was before. She's becoming more cat-like. Like in Brave, when Eleanor starts becoming more bear-like, starts losing her humanity, I think the same thing is happening with the cat in this case.
I love you.
I love you too.
As one, we turn and face the forest again, putting the church behind us. Resigning myself to what comes next, I point in the direction we need to go.
Let's go visit the fairies. I'm sure they're still looking for a new queen.
Once again, we reach the grove where the fairies nest. It occurs to me that is the only part that seems unaffected by the forest sickness. Trees are just as vibrant as ever, and the pond just as crystal clear. We stumble into the middle, near the shores of the pond. Abigail takes several woozy steps, and I hold her shoulder to keep her steady. Then I flick her, and she starts to fall, barely managing to keep her balance. Forget days or even hours to find another solution. We might not even have minutes.
Hello?
I call out, a bit surprised that none of the fairies have come to greet us. I watch the trees and listen for, the buzz and flutter of wings. But it remains silent and still.
Hello? Fairies!
It feels a little absurd and on the nose, but I don't know what else to say. There's no response.
Please, we need your help!
I might as well be shouting into the void. There's not even a single rustle. I notice that the birds who used to nest in the bushes seem to have abandoned this place. Tendrils of fear creep through me. What if the fairies are gone too? I think if they were gone, this wouldn't remain untouched, unaffected.
Madison.
I turn towards Abigail, but she's not even looking at me.
Madison.
She just murmurs my name over and over. I steel myself and face forward. For her.
If you can help us, I'll find you a queen. Even if it has to be me.
My voice sounds stronger than I feel. There's no reaction. My heart pounds, feeling like it's going to burst out of my chest. Seconds pass. Nothing. Beside me, Abigail has fallen silent, swaying on her feet but looking as if she might collapse. All of her trust and hope has been placed in me. I can't let her down. I won't let her down. Just as I gather breath to yell it again, I start to hear a faint buzzing sound deep in the trees. Something flickers far away but getting closer. I realize it's many somethings. Tiny lights spark to life, woven throughout and across the trees like Christmas lights. Those in the growing buzzing herald the arrival of the fairies. The hint that we got earlier in the story is that they're like a in collective consciousness, even though that's many bodies, like an insect hive, basically. They burst from the trees as a swarm, nearly enough to darken the sky overhead. Like before, three break apart from the rest and swoop towards us. I recognize them as the three I spoke to before, the ones I named Hey, Anan, and Frio. Hey, Anan, and Frio.
You're back! To be queen? We've been waiting.
They watch inquisitively while the rest of the swarm hover overhead. It isn't what I want. I still barely know what being a queen would entail, much less a fairy queen. All I have is one short vision. But it's not like I have time to research or to learn. There's not time for anything else. It's this or disappear forever and leave Abigail to whatever fate she's suffering. Of course, it's not an option I'm even willing to consider. Excuse me. Also, as of this stream, the game is on sale for its 5-year anniversary. It was released in 2019, about a year before COVID. I put on the sternest face I can and lock eyes with the fairy in the middle.
Only if you can help us.
Wordlessly, the three fairies start forward, inspecting Abigail and me. They communicate silently with each other, leaving me to wonder what they're saying and thinking. A minute later, they return to their position in front of my face.
Name your terms. But are you sure? We think we know.
If you make us human again, and stop whatever it is that's happening to us, then I'll make sure you have a queen. Whether it's me or someone else.
A queen! Who else could it be? We've spent so long looking. There's not much time left! For you or for us!
Wait, what do you mean? What are you running out of time for?
She'll make her move! Haven't you seen? The moonsick one.
Moonsick. There's that word again.
Moonsick one. You mean Evelyn?
Evelyn! A human name! It must be her!
I don't fully follow, but there's no one else he could be referring to. There's so much I want to ask, but I can't right now. Yeah, my theory, and I said this in the last video, when we first saw the vision that they granted Maddie, was that the moonsick one is, that they're referring to is Evelyn. That Evelyn was once a fairy like them, but something happened. I think she got separated from the swarm somehow and went wrong.
How long do we have?
Until the moon is at its brightest! That's when she's strongest. Will you be ready then?
I'll have to be.
I haven't been paying much attention to the moon, but I know it can't be more than a week until it's full. Probably less. I really wish I had Tara's stupid shirts to use as reference right now. Tara. In all of this, I haven't even really been considering that by becoming human again, not just a ghost, I'll be able to see her. Oh, I forgot to open up my thing. Hang on. My mobile dashboard thing. So I can't even see if anyone's chatting. I apologize if anyone's there. Okay, that's that. There it is. That's what I need. Stream manager, that's it. Okay. Okay. Now if anyone chats, I can see it. That's at least one big upside, although I don't know where we'll even begin catching up. Still, that's something else to be figured out later. Facing the fairies, I nod.
Okay.
We can start preparing. Are you ready? It won't take long.
Yeah. I just need a moment to get ready, too.
The fairies split off and rejoined the rest of their kind, not bothering to respond. That's fine by me. Turn back to Abigail, who's been silent throughout this entire thing. At first I thought maybe she'd passed out, but instead she was watching me with anxious eyes.
Madison, are you sure?
Softly she leans against me. Well, she kind of falls.
Yes, I'm sure.
The fairies have all gathered near the pond, close to one of the trees. They watch us intently, ruining the chance of any private moment. I have crumbs in my coat pocket. I mean, not a surprise. I tend to be messy. Oh, not crumbs, just stuff. I kiss Abigail's cheek and feel her nuzzle against me for just a moment.
I love you, Madison.
She says it with more strength than she's been able to muster so far.
I love you, too.
We look into each other's eyes for one last moment. Then I turn and stride towards the fairies. I don't let myself look down. I don't let my hands shake. I keep my steps measured and even. I only glance back once, to where Abigail is watching me. Then Hay, Frio, and Hanan descend once more. Frio loosely grips a crown of woven flowers and leaves, as out of season as the rest of this grove. I would say that doesn't feel real. But to tell the truth, it's been a long time since anything has. I just love the design of them. It has elements of other fairy designs that I've seen in other media, but I think this part right here is the most unique part of the design, and the idea that they're basically insects.
Is it time? We hope it is. Just put this on.
That's it. All I have to do is put on the crown?
That's all for you. Is that too much? We'll do the rest.
Okay. Frio hands me the crown. I let it rest on my palms. It's light, barely noticeable. The flowers are all woven together so deftly that I have to wonder if it was made by magic. It's also slightly warm, like it had just been sitting in the sun for a while. I swallow the lump in my throat. This is what's best for everyone. Not just for me or Abigail, but for the whole forest. With one swift motion, I reach up and place the crown on my head. It fits perfectly, as if it was made for me. I wonder if it was. The moment it touches my hair, the fairies start to move. They chatter out loud, but there are so many of them speaking that it's impossible to hear what they're saying. I don't even know if they're human words. Altogether, they sound like a forest of rustling leaves. I shut my eyes as I feel a tingling sensation. It starts at the top of my head and slowly works its way through me. It's not uncomfortable at all, but it also isn't anything ignorable. Something soft brushes against my face and hands. It feels like snow, but isn't cold. And when it melts away, there is no trace of wetness left behind. An invisible force feels like it's tugging me in every direction at once, but I stay rooted to the spot. A light scent of pine fills my nose. Somehow, it's nostalgic.
I associate the scent of pine with Christmas because we used to have an actual Christmas tree every year for Christmas, even though my mom was allergic. But she was only allergic if the needles were broken and the oil came out. As long as the needles remained whole, she was fine. So pine always filled the house at Christmas, and we have a big pine tree in our front yard. And sometimes when we'd have a fire in the fireplace, we would burn pine cones along with the log.
I open my eyes, still in the middle of my metamorphosis. Warmth spreads through my body like a hot cup of coffee, and with it comes understanding of the forest and how I'm a part of it. I'm acutely aware of its existence, tuned to its precise frequency. I imagine this must be what Abigail meant by being connected.
Beautiful.
Memories that aren't mine start to run through my head. A movie that I can't shut off. Visions of trees sprouting from the earth and growing skyward, and of clouds forming and then falling apart. Each denizen of the forest, every tree, every deer, even the forest spirit itself, come to mind at once, feeling like old friends I haven't seen in a while. None of it feels new. It's not intrusive or foreign. Rather, this knowledge feels like something that's always been there, but without my awareness. Or maybe something I'd forgotten. It's comfortable. And still the fairies dance overhead, their rustling chants even louder as they perform their ritual. I wonder if all fairy queens are inaugurated this way. And at the same moment I wonder, I know instinctively that they aren't. Visions of a beautiful woman whom I immediately recognize as the missing fairy queen come to mind. And with her comes a longing, a feeling of something missing. Then as my thoughts turn, the vision and the longing are gone too. I can feel the rustle of cloth against my skin as even my clothes acknowledge the changes, taking on a life and form of their own. They lengthen and stretch and puff out, becoming a dress more elaborate and beautiful than anything I've ever worn before. Living, breathing flowers bloom from its hem right before my eyes, matching the crown on my head. I feel the magic work its way through, over, and around me, enveloping tightly. And then, as the ceremony comes close to an end, I start to feel it drain out of me. It seeps down and out, and back into the earth and air, returning to the forest that lent me its strength and trust to take on this role. As I heave a deep breath, the enormity of the responsibility that's been placed on me feels heavy, but not unbearably so. If anything, I'm reassured by the competence and power that I can simply feel that I have. I'm not invincible. I know that much. But for the first time in ages, I feel like I'm in control. I stumbled, just a little bit, as my feet touch the ground that I never knew I'd left. The instant that I do, the last of the shifting magic leaves me, although I can still feel it as part of the forest. Without anyone saying anything, without any confirmation, I simply know. It's done. I've become the Fairy Queen.
That was beautiful. Chapter 5. My first sense of Fairy Queen are shaky. At any moment, it feels like my legs might give out from under me. Yet, at the same time, I feel a strange sort of confidence and inner strength. I don't know if magic literally courses through my veins or not, but it feels that way. So, new sprite. It still matches the color of her coat. The next few steps as Fairy Queen are easier. I keep my gaze fixed on Abigail as I make my way towards her. She waits impatiently, concern clearly etched on her face. The fairies buzz agitatedly over my head, darting and dashing in pointless patterns. Though they don't vocalize anything, I can hear their voices clearly in my mind.
Our queen! Welcome home. How does it feel?
I acknowledge their words, and at the same time I can feel myself be acknowledged. Comes as naturally as breathing. I promise that I'll get to them in a moment.
Madison, are you alright?
She clings to my side, her slender arms tight around me. Though I'm not shaking anymore, her presence is still infinitely reassuring. I press my lips to her head and we sway gently back and forth. I can feel her, too, as a part of the forest. Her presence is as warm and comforting in my head as in my arms.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
She makes a sound that I think is a gasp, but then I soon realize is a sob. Abigail cries against my shoulder, her arms tightening like a vice. I don't ever want to let her go. I hold her as tightly as I can while her body is racked with sobs. Her breath and tears are warm, almost painfully hot. The thin lace of my new outfit does little to inhibit them.
I'm so sorry that all of this is happening. I'm sorry.
Gently, I bind her hands and take them in mine. I squeeze them, trying to impart the same kind of solace that she gives to me.
It's okay. Really. I'm happy things turned out this way. I'm glad that I met you, no matter the circumstances.
Her cries get stronger, and I drop one of her hands in order to brush her hair back from her tear-stained face. We hold each other tightly until she's able to calm down. Meanwhile, the fairies still continue to circle overhead, although they remain respectfully silent. Finally, Abigail heaves a steady breath and steps back just a little bit.
I'm sorry again. It was just that seeing you there with the fairy light. I mean, you looked beautiful. You still do. More than beautiful.
Aww.
But it made me again realize everything that you've gone through. Everything I've put you through.
Oh, Abigail. You were gonna lose her entirely if you didn't do something, so you did the only thing you could think of. I press a finger to her lips. She looks up at me, surprise replacing the sadness.
It's okay. I'd go through all of it again to end up here with you. I mean it.
Abigail sniffles heavily, and I can tell that she's trying not to cry again.
You can make it up to me by getting out of all of this with me.
She nods.
That sounds more like a gift to me than the other way around. But I'll keep being selfish and take it.
It's a gift for Maddie, too. Don't worry.
Good. I want you to be selfish.
We kiss quickly and briefly, then separate. I look up at the fairies above me, who are glad to be noticed again.
Thank you for saving me like this. I owe you my life.
Somehow, I've ended up owing my life to way more people than I ever expected to.
You have 3 days to keep it. That's right! You're running out of time! We can't wait much longer!
I know. I'll find a queen for you.
I know that won't be as easy as I make it sound. After meeting some of the Ice Info locals, I don't get the impression that any of them would be interested in the offer. But still, I have 3 days to figure it out.
We'll be waiting. We know we'll see you again. With a new queen or not.
The ritual finished, the fairies quickly dispersed back into the trees. I'm glad there's no more ceremony or ritual to go along with my transformation. Alone with Abigail once more, I head to the shore of the pond so that I can finally get a full glimpse of myself. I can barely recognize my own reflection. The girl staring back at me from beneath the water looks much more suited to the position of queen than I expected. She looks calm and confident, like she's unafraid of whatever happens next. I hope I'm not just fooling myself. I turn this way and that, admiring my new outfit. On top of my head, the flower crown that the fairies gave me fits comfortably. I wonder if it's meant to tempt me into staying. Abigail moves closer, peering into the water with me. Our reflections next to each other serve as a visible reminder as to why I can't stay. As comfortable and satisfying as this newfound gift is, I have no desire to keep it at the cost of our freedom. I'll get us out of this.
Are you ready to go?
I am.
Okay. First things first, we need to get in touch with Morgan and Tara. They probably know more about the mayor than we do.
It'll also set my mind at ease a lot. There's so much that I need to say to Tara, and even if I spent all 3 of our days just talking with her, that still wouldn't be enough time.
How will we do that? Going into the village would be far too dangerous.
We don't have to. We just have to get to the cabin.
I flex my fingers, still acutely aware of the magical tingling.
And that's easy like this.
Abigail runs her fingers over mine, her skin angelically soft like always.
All right. I trust you.
I curl my fingers, squeezing her hand again.
Thank you. Speaking of which, there's something I think we should do.
I pause a moment while she waits expectantly. Much like the way my coronation descended, what I'm about to say seems unceremonious.
I think I can return us to the physical plane, too. Both of us.
It takes a second for the implication to sink in before Abigail's eyes grow wide as saucers.
Madison! Are you sure?
Her hand clutches her heart.
Yeah. I can't explain how I know, but I just do. There's a lot of stuff that I can do now. But that way, you'll be able to talk with Morgan and Tara, too. And I know that we'll need all the help we can get at the end.
I keep banishing thoughts of what that end will be, because there's only one way that this can end, putting a stop to Evelyn once and for all. I don't need that weighing on my mind along with everything else right now.
I understand. You know that I wouldn't just abandon you, Madison.
I know.
Abigail takes a deep breath, steadying herself.
Okay. I'm ready.
Silently, I step forward, taking her other hand in mine as well. I close my eyes and bow my head, and I feel her do the same. I can feel the magic course through me and out of me, spreading like vines from my fingers. Okay, I'm going to scroll back so we can see that rainbow again. It affects both me and her, taking our very forms and rebinding them to the mortal world where they belong. I can feel Abigail tense up and hear her breathing getting shallow. Still, I keep my eyes closed, willing the magic to continue working. It obeys my whims effortlessly. And then after a minute that feels like an hour, the flow of magic slows and then stops. I open my eyes. Abigail is still there, her hands warm in mine. Her eyes slowly open as well, meeting mine. This close together, I can feel her breath warm against my face.
How do you feel?
A light breeze blows through. For the first time in 200 years, Abigail's gown sways in the wind.
It's cold.
She says and laughs, pressing herself even more tightly against me. Abigail shivers, her teeth begin chattering within seconds of her transformation. Despite how poofy it is, her gown really isn't very warm at all. Fortunately, the chill doesn't bother me. It wouldn't make sense for a fairy queen to be susceptible to the cold. But taking care of Abigail is a pressing matter.
Let's go to the cabin. I can get us there quickly.
She just nods, wrapping her arms tightly around herself. I hug her tightly as well and access the magic once again. This time I'll use it to transport us across the forest to its very boundary where the cabin is, and where my powers stop being useful. Since the cabin and the village are technically outside the bounds of the forest, once I step past the trees, I'll just be a regular ghost again, at least until I go back into the forest. So I can't get too far away. If Evelyn were to find out where we are or make some move against us, I'd be powerless to stop her. Better to not even give her that opportunity. Still, the transportation is smooth. It doesn't even feel like we move. Instead, we close our eyes in the fairy clearing. When we open them again, the cabin is just in front of us. Seeing it again strikes a pang in my heart. It feels like forever ago. I guess technically it was a lifetime ago. There's no time to get sentimental though, not when Abigail's like this. Instead, we hurry to the front door. Miraculously, the door is unlocked. I guess Morgan and Tara had more important things to worry about than locking it up the last time they were here. We rush inside and I turn on both the lights and the heater. As warm air cranks out, Abigail's relief is palpable and immediate. She settles down onto one of the chairs, comfiness outweighing even her curiosity for just a moment.
Better?
Much.
She luxuriates in the feeling, eyes closed in bliss. Her fingers absent-mindedly scrape the soft cushion of the couch, which she presses her back into.
It's so soft.
Then she leaps to her feet, zooming towards the kitchen. She drags her fingers along every different surface as she goes, stopping to examine most of them. That would be me. She rubs the edge of the counter.
Madison, it's so smooth and cold.
At the sink, she examines the faucets intently before spinning one of them. Cold water pours out over her hands as she yelps in shock, but quickly grins.
Madison, it's like a river.
Then she reaches the heater, which is pretty much keeping her alive right now. Like a cat, she basks in front of it, relishing the warmth. Each sensation seems to bring her immeasurable joy. For me, it had been a couple of weeks. For Abigail, it had been 200 years without feeling warm, or cold, or texturous. I watched fondly. I wish we had more time to enjoy ourselves, more time to show her modern things like films. I remind myself that I can't think like that. We just don't have the time yet. We just have to get through this. Then we'll have all the time in the world.
I'm going to get you some warmer clothes. I'll be right back.
All right.
She still plopped in front of the heater, closer than I would have thought is comfortable. Smiling, I head to what had once been my bedroom. It's been rearranged a bit. My suitcase has been shoved to one corner, forgotten. My laptop sits atop my bed, although most of the video gear is missing. Tara and Morgan must have taken it with them when they left. Good thinking. I start booting up my laptop while I roll the suitcase to my bed and start sifting through my clothes. After everything I've been through, the actions feel so mundane that I have to give myself a second to just let it all sink in. Everything's been moving so fast since that night Abigail and I kissed by the water. There's hardly been a chance to breathe. Still, being back on familiar territory with familiar comforts is reassuring. It makes me feel like a human again. Something as simple as being able to push a button on my computer and watch it respond is a little miracle that I don't think I'll take for granted again. Getting used to the necessities of normal life, like eating and sleeping, will definitely take some time, though. Same with keeping warm. And unfortunately for Abigail, my clothes are the only option she has. They won't fit her as well, but they should be better than that nightgown she's been wearing for so long. I complete the outfit with a cute hat. I hope she likes it.
Here you go. They're not the best fit, but they should at least keep you warm.
Abigail hurries over and reverently takes a bundle from me.
Are these your clothes?
Yeah, they are. I hope that's okay.
She holds the bundle to her chest.
I'll treasure them.
I show her to the bathroom and also explain how everything works. I have to admire her restraint in just accepting everything modern in stride. It isn't too long before she emerges once again. She folds her arms wide, the cloth hanging a little loosely from her in parts, but she's smiling. Aww.
How do I look?
Adorable! Ah! So cute!
Gorgeous.
That's the word I managed to stammer out. There's a whole slew of them that would work. Call me biased, but I think my clothes look better on her than on me. Giggling, she does a slow spin, showing off once more.
The person who chose them has wonderful taste.
Great, that's a fantastic compliment to Maddie. Abigail gets comfortable in the living room while I grab my laptop from the bed. I sit down beside her, turning it so she can see.
This is a computer.
You don't need
It can do a ton of things, but it also lets people talk via long distances.
Okay, you don't need to be that condescending.
And that's how you're going to contact Tara?
Right.
Abigail watches with rapt attention as I open a browser and wait for the painfully slow internet to load my email.
There are so many different pictures and words. Don't you ever lose track of where you are?
Sometimes.
Not really. You get used to it.
Surely you're being modest. I imagine very few people could operate one of these.
I love her. Little hearts.
I wish. But really, most people have one of their own. Or even more than one.
My mom's one of them. She has a PC for the majority of her work, and then a laptop for her to use when she can't sit at the computer desk anymore, when she needs to stretch out a bit.
They're a really common part of everyday life.
I see. In that case, you'll have to teach me.
Definitely. For now, though, I'm going to send that message.
How will it be transported?
Magic!
It's,
I try to think of how to explain this, then I realized that I have the perfect analogy.
You know how the forest is all totally connected? Like, how you can sense all the different parts of it?
Abigail nods, and slowly her face gets pale.
Medicine. Don't tell me that modern people are connected in the same way.
I can't help it, I burst out laughing. Indignantly, she waits for me to finish. It takes me past the point of having tears in my eyes before I do.
I can see that I was wrong.
She pretends to pout, but I can see that in her eyes that she's just playing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that you look so horrified.
Yes. She laughs too.
Well, imagine how I feel. Apparently nothing is impossible anymore, so I simply have to assume the worst.
She snuggles against me, pressing her cheek against my shoulder to show that she's only pretending to be upset.
So, go on. Do explain it then.
It's not the people who are connected, but the machines. If you have a computer, you can send a message instantly to any other computer in the world. It's more complicated than that, but that's the easy way to put it.
I see. So you're going to send a message to Tara's computer?
Right. I'm going to tell her to come and meet us here. I hope she'll believe it's me.
I'm sure that she'll know, somehow.
I nod, entering Tara's email address into the field. It feels absurdly formal to be sending an email of all things to get in touch with her. I don't think we've ever had an email conversation in our lives. I leave the subject line blank. Anything I could put there would feel comical. I don't really know how to word the rest of the message, so I don't think about it. I just put my fingers to the keys and start to type. Dear Tara, I know this is going to sound kind of hard to believe. I think we're going to be switching POVs. Nope, not yet. I'm acquainting Abby with modern technology when the sound of loud voices from outside interrupts me mid-sentence. Well, one very obnoxiously loud voice. I only know one person who can make a racket like that. Grab Abigail's hand and lead her out into the living room just in time to hear Tara and Morgan reach the door.
Tara, stop for a second. We don't know for sure this isn't a trap.
Yeah, but what if it's not? I can't take that chance. I'm going in.
Tara, wait!
The door flies open so hard it bangs against the wall. Tara freezes in the doorway, probably not expecting me to be right there. Or maybe even here at all.
Hey.
Everything I rehearsed and planned to say in my head is forgotten in an instant. Somehow this feels more unreal than anything else so far. I never had time to doubt any of the stuff that's happened to me. I had plenty of time to doubt that I'd see Tara again. Tara's mouth flaps up and down like a nutcracker statue. I don't think she forms a single coherent word. Morgan approaches from behind and places a protective hand on Tara's shoulder, which seems to reset her. She rubs her eyes as she stares at me. Either she doesn't believe what she's seen, or she's about to cry. Maybe both. I mean, come on! You finally see your best friend again, and she looks like that!
You've changed your look a little bit, huh?
When she finally speaks, her voice shakes like crazy.
You like it?
Tara gives me a slight nod.
It makes you look like a total nerd.
Without another word, she bursts into tears. She doesn't even hesitate a moment before bounding forward like an excited, tear-stained racing dog. I spent so long worrying about her that seeing her safe and sound in the flesh is almost too much to handle. There are so many things we left unsaid or unresolved. I'm just glad that there's time to fix that now. Sorry, just getting a little close to home. That's all I'm saying.
I thought you were dead.
Me too.
We both burst into laughter, still punctuated with sobs. But at least we both have the clarity of mind to tell that this hug has gone on for way too long. When we split apart, she has a big dumb grin on her big dumb face.
Welcome back, Mads.
Good to be back, Tara.
Our reunion over, Morgan finally steps forward, taking Tara's hand in her own. She smiles at me, her expression soft for once.
Hey, Maddie. It's good to see you again.
Her voice is as calm as ever, but the wide, genuine smile on her face tells me that these last couple of weeks have changed her as much as they changed me.
You too, Morgan.
I feel like I should say something more than that, but I know neither of us is much for words. And it's nice to have someone else around who feels the same way for once.
Before anything else, there's someone I'd like to introduce you to.
I turn to gesture for Abigail, but at first she's nowhere to be seen. Then I spot a familiar flash of pink and purple lingering by my bedroom door. Oh, she's shy. Right, we spent so long together that I had forgotten how timid she was when we first met. Her eyes are wide as she wrings her hands, looking from me to Tara and back. Tara and Morgan look just as shocked once they notice her. I head over to where Abigail is and take her hand.
They're okay. I promise.
She nods, letting herself be led back into the living room.
Tara, Morgan, I'd like you to meet Abigail.
They're all in the same room together! Yay! It's a very crowded screen. So many sprites. I pause for a moment.
She's my girlfriend.
Whoa. We do have a lot to catch up on.
She turns to face Abigail.
I'm Tara. I've been friends with Maddie for forever.
Still have a few tears lingering.
It's nice to finally meet you, Tara. I've heard a lot about you.
Hell yeah! All good things, I hope?
Mostly.
I'll take it.
Morgan steps forward too. Sorry, forgot I had to actually read that.
Morgan, nice to meet you.
Abigail nods politely.
You as well.
So, let's sit down. We've got a lot of catching up to do and not a whole lot of time to do it.
The four of us move to the couch and sit down. As we do so, there's a loud grumble from beside me. Abigail clutches her stomach, looking absolutely mortified. Hungry for the first time in 200 years.
What was that? What's happening?
Oh, yeah. We should probably eat something.
Eat.
Her eyes light up.
That's right. I'm hungry.
Morgan and Tara look baffled. I can't blame them for that one.
Like I said, long story. Is there anything to eat? It's been a long time since either of us have had a meal.
I'll make us some breakfast. Cross your fingers for pancake mix. Anyway, I think that's everything.
Minus the really juicy stuff, anyway.
I'm okay with not hearing about that. Thanks.
Abigail, now finally finished with her meal, wraps her arm around mine and rests her head against me. Morgan sighs and sends Tara and me a meaningful look. She rises and clears her throat.
Abigail, would you mind coming with me for a minute?
Morgan's voice carries a more serious tone that feels like a sudden departure from our lighthearted reminiscing. I knew it couldn't last forever, but I'm hopeful we can return to it soon.
Is something wrong?
No, not at all. But there's something we need to talk about. And besides...
She looks at Tara, then over to me. Her tone might be serious, but her soft expression makes it clear she's not about to deliver any bad news. I just realized, just looking at the four of them, that they all have their hairs all different shades of red. Like, Tara has some dark, rich red, Morgan's is more the orange red, and then Abigail's is the very light red, almost pink, and then Maddie's is probably the lightest red. It's more like a strawberry blonde, I would say.
These two might need a bit of privacy.
I nod at her as Abigail lets go of my arm. With a quick kiss on the cheek, she stands and walks to Morgan's side. The two of them head towards the bedroom, leaving Tara and I to stare at each other in silence. Awkward. We look away from each other awkwardly as I try to think of what to say. Should I speak first? Should I wait for her? What do I say? She knows how much I missed her, but there was so much tension between us before I died. I never had a chance to apologize for hiding Abigail or for how I handled telling excuse me, breath, or how I handled telling her I was going to quit. I take a deep breath and raise my head. I just need to go for it. I spent enough time waiting to speak. Whatever happens, happens.
I'm sorry.
Yes!
I shouldn't have.
It was really shitty of me to...
I just...
We both slam our mouths shut again. Tara's face reddens as she chuckles softly.
Maybe we should take turns.
As long as you don't mind going first.
She takes a long, overly dramatic breath and closes her eyes.
I know I was shitty to you about leaving. I should have listened to you and accepted it instead of being all bitter and passive-aggressive. And I know I was even shittier once we got evidence. I shouldn't have frozen you out like that.
Maybe a bad choice of words there, Tara.
I mean, I shouldn't have ignored you the way I did. I want you to be a part of Paranormal. I really do. Trying to exclude you was stupid and impulsive.
She looks at me right in the eyes, and I can tell that all her typical bravado is gone. This is pure, naked honesty. It's hard enough for me to manage something like that, much less her. She's really put her heart into this, and I'm more than grateful for that.
When all of this is over, whatever you decide to do, I won't stand in your way. You know I always want you to be a part of Paranormal, but you gotta be your own person. And you're my best friend. Thinking I might have lost you forever made me realize I honestly have no idea what I'd do without you. I give you a lot of shit, but I really do love you. I'm so sorry this all happened because I was too much of a screw-up to remember that.
Tara exhales and slumps back in her chair as if the act of apologizing drained all the energy in her body. She's grown so much in the short time we've been here. Then again, so have I. I need to make sure I show her the same sincerity in return.
I'm sorry too, Tara. Even if I was mad, I shouldn't have hidden Abigail from you. It made things worse for both of us. And it drove us apart when we should have been getting closer than ever. But more than that, I shouldn't have set this whole thing into motion the way I did.
The memory of our fight back home is painful, but I can't keep trying to run away instead of dealing with it head on. It's not fair to either of us.
I should have told you I was thinking about leaving and why I was thinking it. I should have talked things over with you instead of dropping the bomb on you right before we left. When I thought I was going to be stuck here forever, I realized you were the person I'd miss more than anyone else. Even more than my family. I don't know what I'm going to do when we get back. I still have a lot to figure out. But I do know that whatever happens, we'll always be best friends.
Mads, hi.
As she struggles to think of what to say next, I gently put my arms around her in a reassuring hug. We've said enough for now. She hugs back, squeezing a bit too hard. We stay that way until it starts to get awkward, as hugs between us tend to do. Tara told Morgan once that they did try to date and it was awkward, and they were like, yeah, we're better as friends. I pull away and sit back down, a bit embarrassed.
So, are we good?
I let out a deep breath, releasing the anxiety that had been twisting my stomach in knots. Whatever happens next, I know it'll be easier without that dragging me down.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Are we good enough for me to start calling you the ghost with the most?
Don't push it.
Now we're switching points of view. Okay. Okay. I end up bringing Abigail into Tara's room. The two of us carefully step over the pile of clothes on the floor to sit on the bed. She bounces on it a few times. I don't think she's used to springs.
Having fun?
How do you people sleep in these? Aren't you afraid of just bouncing out of bed?
It's not that bouncy. It's just comfortable.
suppose tomorrow I can let you know if I agree. So, what is it you wanted to talk about?
It's
hard to put into words. No matter what I've been preparing myself for, a conversation like this wasn't part of it.
It's about family. Our family.
You're a Dalsing as well?
I'm a Fisher, actually. But a change in last name doesn't change the fact that we're part of the same family.
Is Morgan descended from Abigail's sister? At first I couldn't believe it. When Maddie and Abigail were telling their story, I thought there must have been some sort of misunderstanding or that I'd heard wrong. But the details all match up, not just with what Evelyn's told me over the years she tried to break my spirit, but with the notes and journals left behind by those before me.
So she hasn't changed. After all these years, it's still us.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be next. There isn't anyone else. No siblings or aunts or uncles. Just me and her.
She makes a sound of sympathy and moves closer to me on the bed, touching my shoulder gently. I tense up, almost shaking hard enough to shrug her off, but she remains. I had noticed that they both had the green eyes, and of course they both have the red hair. Of course it could be, yeah. Oh, I did not think of this connection, but it makes total sense. I don't want to be that person anymore, the one afraid to let anyone close, physically or emotionally.
I'm sorry.
I just nod. I can tell that she doesn't know what to say either, and that's fine.
Do you mind if I ask you something?
Sure.
Why didn't you leave? Back in my time, it wasn't even a possibility. There was no way I could have escaped. We wouldn't have gotten very far if we'd tried. But now, Madison's told me about all sorts of fantastic machines and devices. Surely you could have gone.
I shrug. Of course I considered it, dreamed about it even. But there's no way she could know that, and besides...
I thought about running away many times. I thought of a lot of different ways to make sure she couldn't hurt me anymore. But the same thing stopped me every time. She wouldn't just give up because I'm not around. She'd find someone else, just like she always has. And they'd die instead.
I braced for her to tell me that's ridiculous and that I should have put myself first, or to burst into tears at the very notion. Instead, she laughs. It's not a happy laugh, though.
I see. I understand. Truly.
That's why Abigail offered herself, so that someone else wouldn't die, someone she loved. Oh, I was double checking if the pattern on the cap matches Madison's sweater, but it doesn't.
I chose to die for someone else's sake as well. Someone I cared about very deeply.
She sighs wistfully, remembering days long gone. I can't help but smile, the same way that she laughed.
I see I'm just carrying on the family tradition then.
Let's make sure it ends with you.
I nod. It will, one way or another.
I am glad, though, to know that her family turned out to have people as wonderful as you.
I'm really not anything that special.
Oh, you're selling yourself short.
I disagree. Not just anyone could have done what you have.
She leans forward, wrapping her arms around me in a gentle hug. This time I don't hesitate. I hug her back. Family. It's never been a word that really meant much to me. All I've ever had was the monster in my home. Now, though, I realize that's no longer the case. We separate and I gesture towards the door. She nods. Together we leave the room and rejoin the rest of our family. Back to Maddie. Oh, okay. That's fine. I think this is, now this is going to be mostly Maddie's story because, I think it's, yeah, anyway. Abigail and Morgan come out of Tara's room and join us, both smiling. I want to ask her what they talked about later tonight. But right now I'm just enjoying the moment. I feel more at peace than at any time since arriving in Eisenfeld. Even during the sweetest moments with Abigail, there was still the lingering bleakness of being a ghost. Now, despite the threat of Evelyn, it feels like there's a chance of everything turning out well. As we talk, Morgan's cat comes and hops up on my lap. I would have expected her to take to Abigail, not me. I scratch behind her ears and she leans into the motion, purring contentedly. Tara notices and sits up straight.
Wait a sec. Mads, I just realized, but you haven't met Gelidura yet, right?
Gelidura, okay. Couldn't remember if it was Gelidura or Gelidura. I knew I was wrong with the way I originally pronounced it, but I couldn't remember what the correct pronunciation was.
I have. Back in the shop, right after we arrived. Remember?
No, I mean, like, met her. Morgan was right. She really can talk.
She can.
I can.
Yes! The cat looks up from my lap, staring into my eyes. Her tail swishes lazily.
If I feel like it.
Such a feline attitude.
Then why didn't you sooner?
It's the first question that comes to mind. Gelidura closes her eyes. After a moment, I start to think she's fallen asleep. But then she opens them once more.
I didn't feel like it.
I look over at Morgan sitting across from me.
I guess I owe you an apology.
It's fine. She certainly didn't make it easy to believe.
Gelidura stands up, her tail lashing as she strides over to drape herself across Abigail. In response, Abigail strokes Gelidura's fur, looking almost as gleeful as when we had our first meal.
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know.
I leave the two of them to their cooing and cuddling and walk over to the front window, peering outside. How many times have I stared at the stars these past few nights? Abigail taught me a few constellations, but tonight, it looks like an entirely different sky. Just my head against the window pane, soaking in the starlight and calm.
Hey, by the way, you said you only came into the village that one time, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to risk it any more than that. Not with how close we came to Evelyn.
Makes sense. You, didn't see anything embarrassing when you were spying on us, right?
We weren't spying. Or at least we weren't trying to. But no. Thank God.
Oh, phew. For real, though, after this is over, but before we leave, you've got to show us some of the cool spots in the forest.
Sure, that'd be fun. Actually, do you want to go right now?
Oh, wait, for real?
I can show you the fairy clearing at least. That's our favorite spot.
How long a walk is it? It's getting kind of late.
Oh, we wouldn't need to walk.
Tara's face slowly morphs from puzzlement to excitement as she realizes what I'm suggesting.
You mean like magic?
I nod.
Oh, hell yeah!
Her enthusiasm. Her enthusiasm starts Gelidura, who hops up and runs away. Abigail gestures in vain for her to come back.
You two up for a field trip?
Sure.
Gelidura traipses back and returns to Abigail's feet. Abigail perks up immediately.
Would you like to come with us, Miss Gelidura?
I suppose so. Oh, carry me.
Abigail gladly obliges. I lead everyone outside and into the tree line, just in case there's anyone watching. I gather everyone into a circle and the four of us lock hands while Gelidura perches on Abigail's neck.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
The forest greets me and I respond in kind. It shows us the way to its heart, to the lake. I hold Abigail and Tara's hands tightly and breathe the softest sigh. I thank the forest, then I open my eyes and we're here. As soon as we arrive, I can feel the presence of the fairies in my mind. They're instantly aware of where we are, and I send them all a mental greeting, which is returned right away. Gelidura slicks her ears back and her tail begins to lash harder than before. I wonder if she can feel magic too. Before I can ask, Tara whistles in awe.
Dang, Mads. You really leveled up, huh?
I put all my skill points into magic.
Even Morgan looks dumbstruck, something I'm not used to from her. She tilts her head back, staring in open-mouthed wonder at the glimmering trees and fairy lights.
What is this place? Are we really still in the forest?
Yes. It's a very special grove. It was one of the first places I brought medicine. We came back here many times.
It definitely feels magical. Oh, damn it. I should have brought my camera.
We all head down to the pond. Tara and Morgan gawk at its unfrozen waters, the same way I did when I first saw it. I feel a strange sense of pride seeing them so excited about this place. A loud buzzing sound suddenly fills the air. Before I can warn Tara and Morgan what's about to happen, fairies burst forth from the trees. Tara yelps in shock as they pass over her, wings beating noisily.
Your Majesty! You're back! You returned!
Hello, you three.
It's nice to be greeted so enthusiastically, even if I didn't exactly want to be queen. I wave, expecting the three of them to come to me right away. But to my surprise, the fairies sail right past me and flock around Abigail instead. I was right!
Our queen!
Gelidora hisses as Abigail shrinks back, looking afraid.
I'm not your queen. She's over there.
Abigail tries to point to me, but the fairies ignore her.
No, you're not. We know you aren't. It isn't you!
One of them reaches for Gelidora, and she swats at the fairies with one paw, just like Abigail did when we first encountered them. The fairies react with shocked indignance, their mouths open in identical shapes of puzzlement. I was right! I was right! They abandon verbal communication and instead emanate a wave of questioning curiosity. Although I can feel it's not directed at me, by listening, or rather by feeling, I realize who they're communicating with. Gelidora.
Whoa.
Just to be sure I'm right, I communicate a request for confirmation. Despite her discomfort, Gelidora turns to me from Abigail's arms, blinking languidly.
Yes, that's right.
Now I'm the one whose jaw drops in shock.
Care to fill us in, Mads?
Cat? Gelidora? Fairy Queen.
Everyone is silent for a moment, even the fairies. Then Abigail clears her throat.
Does that mean I should set you down then?
No, this is fine.
Wait a second. A little seed of hope blooms instantly within my heart. The fairies answer my question before I can even think it. The seed of hope withers and dies in response.
Maddie?
I close my eyes tightly. I see Gelidora in my mind's eye, and the rest of the world fades away as I speak to her. Once again, the fabrics of time tear and disappear. The fairies guide our voices. Gelidora can't be Fairy Queen. Not anymore. Not after what the Moonsick one did to her. Evelyn. Wait. Sorry, I'm going back so I can see that. Okay. The last pieces of the puzzle fall into place. I see it clearly. Evelyn, the rogue fairy, burning under the moonlight. The Fairy Queen ritual gone wrong. Gelidora running after Evelyn. And then disappearing. Without realizing it, I've reached out for Gelidora. Stroking her fur, the fairies and I communicate with the heart of the woods. To free her and restore her rightful place on the throne, the woods ushered forth its strength. The fairies conglomerate around us, the buzzing increasing in frequency until it's a dull hum. I reach within myself. The waxing moon basks the scene, and I gather up its light into a pool of my hands. Reaching out, I feel the magic on Gelidora begin to vibrate violently. It burns to the touch. Gelidora yowls in pain, and all it was magic shatters and melts away. With a gasp, I'm back to the present. Abigail rushes over to catch me, and the effects of time return. Their interest in their obsolete queen waning, the fairies clump back up and get ready to depart.
We'll see you again soon.
When the moon is at its brightest.
One way or another.
With that cheerful reminder, they take off, fading out of sight. I separate their thoughts from my own and push them away.
Madison, what happened?
I take a deep breath and steady myself. Abigail scoots the pained Gelidora into her arms, petting and cooing.
It's a long story. I'll tell you later. Gelidora, are you alright?
Yes. It was foolish to think you, new Spring Queen, could dispel such a powerful curse on a waxing moon.
Gelidora turns away and grooms herself. I feel a rush of guilt. Tara touches my arm slightly.
You okay, Mads?
Yeah, I'm fine.
She grins and pats my back. Trying to ease the mood, she stretches wide and lets out a huge, nervous laugh.
Oh, good. Well, that wasn't like anything I expected. The fairies especially.
What did you think they'd be like?
I have no idea. But it definitely didn't involve your cat being a queen.
I would have gotten you the nicer cat food if I'd known.
Yo, Gelato, how come you never told us you were a fairy queen?
Gelidora doesn't even deign to look at Tara.
You never asked.
Such a cat attitude is so beautiful. Her fur looks so luxurious and soft. I want a pet. I want to pet the floof. As soon as we arrive back at the cabin, Abigail makes a mad dash towards the couch and flops down on it with a loud thud. I'm a little surprised by how quickly she covers the distance. Gelidra leaves from her arms and trots over to the kitchen, immediately sticking her face in her food bowl.
Oh, my feet.
Are they sore? I can imagine walking around again after so long might be a bit draining.
No, it's not that. It's these boots.
Abigail kicks off her boots and sends them flying, elicting a yelp of surprise from Tara as well. The boots nearly hits her dead on.
Your feet are bigger than mine. Do you have any idea what it feels like to get snow in your boots for the first time in 200 years?
The three of us shudder in unison at the thought. Tara takes another step away from the boot as if she's afraid of it infecting her with cold feet.
I can tell you right now that when we do go to America, I'm going to be spending the entirety of the winter months indoors.
I can't help grinning at her words. Even if it wasn't entirely serious, that's the first time I've heard her speak about our future together with that much certainty. I make my way to the couch and sit down beside her, putting my arm around her without a second thought. She leans against me, our bodies perfectly aligned.
When the summer months roll around, I am definitely taking you ladies to the beach.
Abigail instantly perks up at that, clasping her hands together and leaning towards Tara with a huge grin on her face.
Yes! Goodness! The sand, the sun. I'd love to see the ocean.
I'm just admiring the artwork, don't mind me. I like Morgan in the background. It looks like she's staring at Tara. Morgan seems a little less enthusiastic about the prospect at the beach, her face expression more of concern than excitement.
If we go to the beach, I'm going to end up looking like a lobster.
I have done that. I've gotten sunburned really bad that I ended up with second-degree burns, but I was actually swimming in a pool when that happened, so the sun was not only beating down on me, but it was reflecting off the water and onto me, so I was getting it from two angles, so that didn't help. I was basically stuck wearing my bathing suit top for at least a week, maybe longer, until the burns healed enough that I could actually bear to wear anything over them.
Yeah, but you'd be a really hot lobster.
I try as hard as I can to suppress a groan, but Morgan and Abigail both chuckle. Abigail I can understand, but the fact that Morgan genuinely finds this kind of thing endearing is baffling.
Thanks, babe. So, Abigail, what's the most interesting invention you've seen since you came back?
I suppose... I haven't seen much of it, but the internet seems like a wonderful tool. I love the idea of being connected and sharing thoughts, feelings, and creativity with everyone around the world.
My girl! There isn't a single person more qualified to teach you about the internet than I am. We are gonna have a blast.
There is no way I'm going to let you be the one to show her around the web. You get into enough trouble on your own.
But Madison, doesn't Tara perform on the internet? I assume that means she's very knowledgeable about its workings.
Tara raises an eyebrow and leans down to place her hands on the table, staring closely at Abigail.
So Mads told you about Paranormal, huh?
Oh no.
She told me some things. I know you tell stories about supernatural occurrences and that you take them very seriously, even when they're quite obviously untrue.
Did she now?
I'm loving this.
Sweetie, maybe we shouldn't...
And she told me that people all over the world enjoy watching you. It sounds like you must be an incredible storyteller.
Nice save.
Tara breaks into the same massive grin she always puts on when she knows she's found a new audience.
You don't know the half of it, Abby. I've got a million of them.
I roll my eyes and lean back against the couch. Abigail just moves closer, ready to hear whatever Tara's going to say next. Just looking at her feels healing. Listening to Tara's stories makes her happy, then Tara can tell as many stories as she wants. Not that I'd ever tell Tara that, of course. One story turns into another. Morgan and I will chime in with a correction every now and then, but we mostly let Tara work her magic. Abigail keeps asking questions and Tara keeps eating them up. If Morgan's anything like me, she must enjoy seeing the girl she loves acting so happy. I know I am. I don't know what's going to happen after this. We're still in danger. We still don't have a way out. But that doesn't mean we can't enjoy our time together. All of us. Just wish I could shake the feeling that this is the last time we'll have this chance. We stay like that for a while, telling stories, making jokes, and most importantly, talking about our future. Whether it happens or not, talking about it puts all of us at ease. We talk about sharing technology with Abigail, getting her and Morgan new wardrobes, where we're going on dates when we get back. Those moments, it all feels real, like we're remembering moments that haven't happened yet. Eventually, the sun begins to dip below the horizon. We have another huge meal to Abigail's delight. Afterwards, Tara tells her even more stories as Morgan and I clean up after them. I'm not sure if the four of us are going to stay in one apartment for long when we get back, but I think I'd really enjoy being around Tara and Morgan. Not as much as I enjoy being around Abigail, of course, but enough enjoyment to make me want to stick with them. In time, Abigail starts to yawn and blink wearily as Tara talks. She hasn't had a chance to sleep since she got her body back, so she's no doubt unprepared for the strength of the body's need to rest. When the sun finally sets, we say our goodbyes and head for our room. I'm already looking forward to tomorrow. That was me patting my chest, by the way. I'm just so happy. And back to Morgan. Okay, so I'm gonna save over this because it was such a short amount of time. Because I'm trying to save at least every time we change POVs. And sometimes when we get those big long blocks of tests. But since they were so close together, I'm saving over. Close the door to Tara's room and lean against it to steady myself. I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. I have family. Real family. Family that doesn't want to hurt me. And I'm not just talking about Abigail. When I was watching the three of them talk and laugh together, I felt like I was home. Like this is where I've always belonged.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry, just trying to wrap my head around all this.
I getcha. There's a lot to unpack. You can take your time with it. I guess that means now isn't really a good time to talk, huh?
What do you mean?
I wanted to talk to you about something, or ask you about something, I don't know. It can wait if you still want to work on getting your stuff sorted.
Oh, that's sweet, Tara.
Is something wrong?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I've just been thinking about some stuff.
Like...
Tara takes a deep breath and scoops back on the bed. She curls her legs up towards herself, taking on a surprisingly subdued posture.
It's... well... You know how Abby's been calling us a couple all day? Even though we told her we're not?
Yeah, she's not very good at taking hints.
I'm not sure if that's it. I think she's just, like, direct. Kinda like you. Runs in the family, I guess. I know we agreed that we were going to stay friends, or whatever you'd call this, until this is all over. I get that. But after seeing the two of them, I'm not sure if I feel like that anymore.
She wants them to be girlfriends for real.
We've still got a lot of shit left to deal with. We still don't have a plan, but I think that's okay.
She shrugs half-heartedly and looks down. I want to give her a hug, but I can't move.
Abby put a name on this thing we have when we couldn't, and maybe she's wrong, but I don't want her to be. I really love you, Morgan. I don't want to deny that. I want to be closer than just friends that love each other.
Don't.
The word leaves my mouth before I have a chance to think about it.
What?
Please don't ask.
I'm sorry. I thought...
It's not that I don't want to. That's why I'm asking you not to say it. Because I know I'll say yes if you do.
She looks up at me. I can practically hear the cogs turning in her head.
Why don't you want to say yes?
People get hurt when they get close to me. I don't even like having friends because of how guilty I feel when Evelyn gets in the way. I'm already so close to you. Closer than I've ever been to anyone. But if I put a label on it, A part of me just feels like it would put you in more danger.
Oh, Morgan. I feel so stupid saying it out loud. It's just a word. Why am I so afraid of a word?
Besides, I've never had a girlfriend before. I don't know what it could mean for me. Or for you.
What do you mean? What about the one that taught you how to knit?
Oh no, how could I have forgotten about that lie? It was just so easy to say back then. It made me seem like I knew what I was doing, made it easier to ignore what happened with those girls. Terrace understood everything about me, but I still don't want to tell her about what I did with them, or why I did it.
Hey, it's cool. I've had plenty of girls lie about having girlfriends before. It's just a thing people do. We can just forget about it. We're past lies now, right?
Her words stab at me like needles. It's not like she's trying to force this out of me. I could even tell myself that this isn't a lie. This is just not telling her about something she never asked about. Just like Geladora not telling them she was a fairy queen because they never asked directly.
There's more to it than a simple lie.
Wait, what am I saying? What am I doing?
There are still things I haven't told you about me. About what I've done. Things that could make you change your mind.
Tara manages a weak smile. It's hard to be reassuring when you don't know what you're reassuring someone about.
If you don't want to date, that's okay. I get it. But nothing you can tell me is gonna change how I feel about you.
She sits forward again and pats a spot on the bed next to her. But right now, I'd rather be miles away from her, not closer. I hate feeling like this. I finally learned how to get close to people, and now I'm back to pushing her away.
Do you remember what I called myself the first time we talked to Geladora?
A shell. But you know that's bullshit now, right? We're gonna make sure Evelyn can't get in your head anymore.
Evelyn isn't the only one that made me feel that way.
My throat feels dry. I need something to drink, but I know what will happen if I stop. If this closes, it won't open again.
I didn't learn how to knit from an ex-girlfriend. I learned from Hannah. I had feelings for her. We were close. But she cut off all contact with me when I told her how I felt. Word travels fast in Eisenfeld. Within a week, everyone in the village knew I was gay. That's when bad things started happening to Hannah. She slipped on a patch of ice and broke her leg. A few days later, her dog died. The next week, she came down with the worst flu any of us had ever seen. I knew it was Evelyn's doing. But who was going to believe me? As far as they were concerned, all this happened because she rejected me. I'm pretty sure some of the older people in the village still think I'm a witch.
I clench my fist, sticking my nails as far into my palms as they'll go before my limbs freeze up. As far as they'll go until the icy hex within me takes over again.
Nobody talked to me for a month. You told me that you spoke to some girls our age back when you were doing interviews. Did you ask them about me?
Yeah, I think they did. It's, that was back in October, so I don't remember.
Yeah, we did.
What did they say?
Nothing really bad or anything. One of them seemed closer to you than the other two, and her friend was kind of teasing her about it. Just typical stuff.
As if any of them have the right to mock each other. They're all the same.
I probably slept with her.
I wait for Tara to voice her disbelief, but she doesn't say a word.
After Hannah got better, girls started coming by the store. They always had some kind of excuse. They'd start dropping hints. Talk about how they'd always been curious about what it was like to be with a girl. How they didn't have anywhere to be that day.
I still can't look at her. Any rational person would judge me for this. I know I've judged myself plenty.
They always left right after. Most of them wouldn't talk about it. They'd just go back to their normal lives. I guess some of them talked, though. Soon enough, I got a reputation. I knew I was being used. I resigned myself to being a shell. So I let them use that shell.
I don't know when I started moving, but before I know it, I'm standing by the bed.
Evelyn never let me feel like this body belonged to me. She chose my clothes, she chose my style, she even chose what I do with my hair. It was her body, and she wanted it how she liked it.
I can't keep standing. As much as I want to push away, I sit down next to Tara. Looking at her face, I can't tell what she's thinking. My mind runs through every worst-case scenario as I make myself push onward.
But things have been different with you. For the first time, sex started to mean something. Being open started to seem possible. Being myself started to seem possible. But all I know about myself is how easy it is for other people to use me. If I go out into the world and live for myself, I don't know what kind of person I'm going to become.
Morgan... The shaking starts to subside, replaced by a painful knot in my gut. Almost there. I can make it.
What if I end up becoming someone you can't love? What if my shell is the only worthwhile part of me?
Without warning, Tara throws her arms around me and pulls me close. I wrap my arms around her waist without even thinking.
You're not a shell, Morgan. You're the furthest thing from that. Just because someone tried to make you something other than yourself, or because people took advantage of you, that can't destroy the real you. That you has always been there. And I know it a lot better than you might think.
She nuzzles my neck and I can feel the dampness of her cheeks. She's crying.
You've got passion, you've got personality, you've got conviction, you've got so much awesome stuff in you that I couldn't name it all if you gave me a whole week. All of that is the real you. And that's the girl I'm in love with. The girl I want to be with no matter what. And I want to put a name on it so you know that'll never change.
We pull apart and she wipes the tears from her eyes.
I don't really know a non-cheesy way to put it, so... Will you be my girlfriend?
If you're okay with everything I've done, with everything I still have to do, then how could I say no?
Aww. Tara instantly lets out a long wheeze and clutches her hand to her chest. Is she okay?
You good?
Yeah, give me a minute.
I don't think she quite expected Morgan to actually say yes.
I feel like my body's trying to overcome being allergic to commitment right now.
Awkwardly pat her on the shoulder. It's obvious that neither of us has any idea what you're supposed to do in a situation like this. A hug or a kiss sounds good. Tara grabs me by the waist and gently leads us over to the bed. Press my forehead against hers, and for once, allow myself to be comforted. She strokes my hair. Time slows to a standstill. We kiss. This could be our last night together, but in a way, it's our first night together too. And I'm going to make the most of it. I hold Tara close in my arms. She's nestled close to me. The sun is long gone, but the moon is bright enough to illuminate her smile. I'm smiling too. Close my eyes and let myself relax. I think I might actually sleep well tonight. But as always, luck isn't on my side.
Hey.
What?
Do you hear that?
I strain my ears and see if I can sense anything out of the ordinary. But apart from the usual sounds of the forest, it's silent.
I can't hear anything. Maybe you dreamed it?
Unless this is a dream, it's definitely real. I can hear it right now, I swear.
I sit up in bed and look over at her. She's already most of the way up, head swaying as she looks for the source of whatever she's hearing.
Well, what does it sound like?
Kinda like,
She makes a strange whooshing noise and curls her arms around. I don't see how arm movements are part of the sound, but I doubt I'd understand what she's talking about no matter how she put it. She looks back at me for confirmation, but all I can do is shrug. In response, she jumps out of bed and starts pulling her clothes on.
I'm gonna go see what it is. You coming?
Whether or not this sound is real, I'm not about to let her go off on her own. I promise I'd protect her, and that includes protecting her from mysterious noises. I mean, going outside alone is what got Maddie killed, so yeah.
Right behind you.
Besides, as powerful as Maddie is, there's still a chance Evelyn could be trying something. I follow her out of bed and pull on my shoes. She gives me a quick grin in response, excited to have me along for the ride again. Tara bolts out the door as I finish tying my laces. A second later, I hear her banging on the door to Maddie and Abigail's room.
Mads! Are you guys making that noise?
I pull on my sweater and walk into the hall in time to see Maddie slowly open the door of her room, covering herself with a blanket.
Tara, It's nearly 2 in the morning. Whatever this is, can it wait till morning?
Come on, not you too. I thought it was coming from your room.
Abigail's voice calls out from the room, along with the rustling of sheets.
What was coming from our room?
Are you kidding me?
She turns and storms away from the door, moving out into the kitchen. I nod apologetically at Maddie before following Tara.
Babe, come on. Let's just go back to bed. I'm sure that whatever it is can wait until morning.
It keeps getting louder though. What if it's something dangerous? Maybe Evelyn has her own evil forest spirit and she's riding it towards the cabin or something.
There's a pang in my heart. It's cold and familiar. The sound is that loud, but none of us can hear it. Maybe it's only meant for her to hear. I try to figure out how to get her back to bed. Maddie and Abigail join me in the hallway.
So, what's she doing this time?
She woke up hearing some kind of whooshing noise that I couldn't hear. I thought she'd just imagined it, but she can still hear it.
Maddie rubs her chin, puzzled. Abigail looks out at Tara with a worried expression. Can't shake the unsettling feeling in my chest either.
This isn't the first time something like this has happened, so I'd be inclined to dismiss it. But with everything else that's happened this month...
Yeah. Before she could finish her sentence, Tara turns towards the door.
There! It's right outside!
Abigail realizes it first. She steps towards Tara, reaching out her hand.
Tara, don't! What if it's...
Oh no. No. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I figure it out sooner?
Tara, stay away from the door!
She doesn't look back. As she takes another step towards the door, I will myself to start moving again.
Now you guys are actually gonna be able to see what I'm talking about. You're gonna feel so dumb for doubting me.
I'm running towards her, but it's too late. She grabs the handle and throws the door open.
Wait, what?
There's nothing outside. Maybe that sight will be enough to bring her back to her senses.
The sound's gone. It was right there.
She turns back to look at me. I'm only a couple steps away, and I can see the expression on her face. She's terrified.
Babe, what?
A flash of light fills the room. I'm stopped dead in my tracks as I raise my arm to cover my eyes.
Tara!
The light dissipates and my eyes slowly readjust. In the haze, my fears are confirmed. She's gone. Tara's gone. Shit! I'm frozen. I can't process what's happening. I'm not sure how long these tears start rolling down my face before I notice them. Maddie and Abigail look at me in silence, and then I start screaming. I've never made a sound like this. It's an angry roar that fills the cabin.
No! Morgan, It was supposed to be me!
It's happening again, just like everyone before her. I love her, and now because of me, I collapse to the ground.
Not her. Please.
Hot tears fall from my cheeks to the floor below. I feel a pair of arms wrap around me and a voice in my ear.
Morgan, it's okay. It'll be okay.
I slowly turn towards her. She and Maddie both stand close to me. I can see how worried they are. For Tara and for me. Maddie puts her hand on my shoulder. I flinch, but I don't pull away.
She's still alive. I can feel it. Whatever just happened didn't kill her, but it did move her. I can't figure out where yet, but I can sense her. Somehow.
You're sure?
I'm sure. We can find her.
Dun dun dun.
I think I know where she might be.
Where?
If it was Evelyn who took her, she most likely brought her to the church. That's where she performed the ritual to...
She trails off, but I know what she was about to say. The transfer ritual. She wants Tara's body.
But why her? That's what she was raising me for. Why would she take her?
I'm not sure, but I've got a feeling there's only one way to find out. I'd hoped we'd have enough time to come up with an actual plan before we had to face her. But we can't just let her have Tara.
Nope. I'm already heading for the door. Maddie and Abigail follow close behind.
We can figure something out on the way. Let's go.
We'll think of something. We have to. This time is going to be different. I'm not going to let Evelyn win again. I'm getting Tara back, no matter the cost. And this time, I'm going to make sure Evelyn never hurts anyone again. For better or for worse. This is the end. Dun dun dun. Whew. Okay, wow. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Ooh, we're switching to Tara's point of view. Oh, cool. Okay. Cool. Right, so, gonna end it here because this is a really good place to stop. It's a cliffhanger, but at least we know that Tara's alright for the moment. Right, so we're gonna find out what's happening next week. I don't know if we're gonna finish because chapter 5, we got through all of chapter 5 this week. But I mean, the first few chapters had to set everything up and kind of, right. Anyway, I'm not being very coherent. So I think it's chapter 6 and then an epilogue, and I think that's it. So we're doing okay. Let's see, extras, gallery. So this was actually available last week, even though I hadn't gotten to the coronation. But I mean, they wouldn't have brought up the idea of Maddie being the fairy queen if they weren't going to follow through with it. And then this is them all chatting, being cozy. And then chapter 6, an epilogue. And then title. This is the image that we see on the main screen. And I guess this was the promo for the game. So yeah. Thank you for coming by and watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Yeah, so at least one more week, maybe 2, depending on how long it takes me to get through it. It depends on how long chapter 6 takes. I may, because I don't know how long the epilogue is going to be. But if chapter doesn't take that long, I mean, chapter 5 took, less than 2 hours, obviously. I don't remember how much time, but at least, an hour and a half. So, yeah, depending on how long chapter 6 takes, I may wait until the epilogue the week after. But yeah, I'm just babbling now. Yeah, thank you for coming. I hope you're enjoying this. I certainly am. And, see you next week. Bye.